Now let's try next pose, Virasana, hero pose. Now again, this might not be a good pose for your knee. If a pose doesn't feel good for you, you can always just know that all you need to do is get a stretch through the front body. So even if you see us doing Virasana, and you can do this type of movement with your pelvis, and when I say this, I'm lifting my pubic bone, I'm actually pulling the thigh up, and if you get the stretch in the front of the quadricep, that's your pose. Don't worry about what I'm doing or what you think you need to be doing. Just as long as you're doing something hopefully in the same family. My dream is that when people are educated and they go to a yoga class and there's a pose and the genus is not good for them, let's say people are doing forearm stand, they can go, oh, I'm going to choose dolphin pose and just stay there. Or if everyone's doing wheel pose and that's not good, you could go, oh, I'm going to do a pose in the same family, maybe just a simple cobra, and that will work, and people are empowered to make the practice fit them. Again, so it's not a one-size-fits-all practice. Okay, enough about that. Let's get into Virasana. Now, what I see in Virasana a lot, okay, Virasana is hero pose, is a lot of people, the emphasis is getting their back body onto the floor. And actually, you know, when I go to India and do this pose, Supta, they translate it in Hindi as sleeping, like it's a sleeping pose, like you just want to like fall asleep in the pose, so you're super passive. Now I'm trying to emulate what I see a lot in this pose. Can you see, what are my hips doing? Can you see? A little quiz for you. Can you see they're actually tilted forward? They're actually in flexion or an anterior tilt, which means, by the way, that I'm going to feel more compression in my lower back because my pelvis is not changing the angle in my spine. But I can get my shoulders on the floor, but I don't feel too much stretch here, and I'm just kind of like, well, sleeping. Okay? Secondly, I want you to notice that the feet are really passive. Everything's passive. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I just really want you to feel the stretch in the front body. Now, toes before pose. Can I show you this one? Take a look at it first, and then you try. To get it, maybe I'll do it this way so I'm facing you. I want you to do half Virasana. I want you, as you know in Blissology yoga, we have to deprioritize something. Having our torso on the floor is great, but I want you to deprioritize one, having the back ribs on the floor and the pelvis on the floor. Two, I want you to deprioritize bending your back. Try not to make it a back bend. I don't want you to flatten the back out. I just want you to keep your tree hugger. All right. Now, I'm going to do half Virasana, and this is a great time to talk dorsal arch. What I don't want to happen is for my thigh to roll in and for the little toe of the right foot to lift up. I want to create an anchor point of the outside of my right little toe, and then I'm showing you from the front. See how my thigh wants to turn in? What I need to do, and what you need to do in a second, is use your left foot to go up this way. So your knee stays more kind of square and not tilted over to the side. Okay, and from that place, if you didn't understand our pelvic movement, you will in a second. From that place, remember what I keep saying? Don't go back to get the stretch. Go forward and up. Go forward and up to get the stretch. When I say go forward and up, press up this way, and then use your lower two abdominal muscles to lift up that way. Do you see it? Now I'm going to turn to the side. But I just want to show you, watch, see, this is what I don't want to have happen. Do you see how my thighs rolled in? I want you to press. I'm using my left foot. I got to take it out because I want to roll it out as I press up. So it's a totally different thing. I'm sinking my hips towards the floor. Success is hips on the floor. Now, success is pressing up into the stretch. So in other words, just let me say it like this way. Instead of pivoting at your lower back, the pivot point is going to be the knee. Everything stays integrated, one line, thigh and your torso. But we just totally do, and to stretch the quadricep, that long one, what we need to do, and by the way, that wants to straighten your leg, so if we can really isolate that movement, then we can get more stretch. Okay, so from the side, watch, and you can try doing it, but just pay attention to what I'm doing. I just don't want you to go into autopilot, because if you do it the same way where you just fall asleep in the pose, you'll miss it. It's very active. Left foot, I press up, I draw the knee in closer, and I'm pressing up, and I'm integrating, so I have more of a duo line from my right knee out through my crown. So I'm doing tree hugger, and I'm not bending the back. And then from that place, I start to, without rolling the thigh in, I start to lower everything down. But as I lower down, I'm lifting up my pubic bone using my lower abdominal muscles. Now I'm pressing down the front of the knee, what's called a tibial condyle. I'm pressing that down on the shin bone. And then I can start to go deeper slowly over time. You might have tapped out already, but like this. See, my hips are coming up off the floor. And now we're stretching. Now we're stretching. Okay. We'll do our other side. I wish we could chat about this right now, but I know if that went right, you would be feeling a ton of stretch here. You should actually feel less compression in the knee. For all this work, you're just not dumping so much load on your knee. The tension of the dual lines is supporting your knee. I feel like I've said that before. Okay, other side. Activate your dorsal arch, which means the top of the foot's pulling towards you. So this area right here, I learned this from Joya, this area right here doesn't just sink down onto the floor. Do you see it? This area you're pulling the top of the foot, so this area actually lifts up. This is to stabilize the knee and provide upward lift and to help to steer the knee. Now, my right foot goes out and to the right. I need to externally rotate my right thigh just a little so the knee's level. And then I press up into the stretch. And many of us are going to get tons of stretch right there, especially if you're really anchoring through that left tibial condyle. Then to come into the pose, I got to keep pressing up into the stretch, not back. Up. And I can just lower down. I'm using my right foot, by the way, to press my thigh towards the left. My right foot's very active in this process. And you can bring your elbows. It's half Virasana. And I'm pressing my foot and lifting up. Do you see it? I'm pressing up the pelvis, down with the knee. I'm lengthening now from my knee. I have a dual line, like an elastic from my left knee out through my crown, and that's the breath. Now I'm turning my suspenders or my zippers on to actually minimize the bending of the back. Don't let your back bend as much as you think. I don't want you to flatten it. Just keep a connection of ribs to pelvis. Take 2 more breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 more. And then come on out of the pose. And see how that feels. I hope it's so freaking yummy. Again, just next time you do the video, and if that hurt your knee, you can do something like this. Actually, it's a lot like Anjani Asana. Actually, that will help us understand Anjani Asana. See, what most people do is the equivalent of what we just did in hero pose. Again, most people do that in hero pose. See, my pelvis tips forward, and I just let the psoas be like that kid that wants to eat ice cream before dinner, and you're not a disciplinarian. So, in Anjani, I need to really lift this area up. This area up as I press forward, not just let everything go down and think, how much can I sink at any cost? I got to steer everything in and up for this particular approach to get this stretch in the places where we want it. And that is Virasana pose.